So generally speaking, I am quite a big fan of the Green Party. I plan to vote for the Green Party in the next election. I used to be a card-carrying member of the Green Party, but I'm not anymore. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Green Party's policies, generally speaking. I'm a fan of their agricultural policy on the level that they should be giving farmers incentives to farm more sustainably and promote soil health and biodiversity on farms and things such as this, and that's all very good stuff. But they do support the inheritance tax, unfortunately, which I don't support at all. And they do support wealth taxes in general, though I think that they should be supporting wealth taxes more on the super rich rather than on farmers, since farmers don't, generally speaking, have a lot of ready money available to pay for big inheritance taxes and things like this, and will have to sell land to big corporate entities in order to pay the inheritance tax, which will completely change the face of the countryside, destroy generational farming, or has the potential to, and yeah, will hand over great swathes of land to foreign investors, hedge funds, other big corporate entities, and that's how farming will carry on in the UK. And I think that would be a great shame if that were to happen. But the Green Party are in a unique position at the moment to craft more effective agricultural policy, I think, and particularly in light of their stance on cannabis legalization, since farmers are seemingly always in want of money, and farmers are always on the lookout for ways in which to make more money. And I think that, given the space that farmers have available to them, they could easily be putting up sheds to grow cannabis in if we were to relax the laws on growing cannabis, and that would secure for them a lot of extra money. And this is the reason why I think going into the next election, I'm going to support the Green Party and all the Lib Dems, and hope to see something like a Lib Dem Green coalition win at the next election, since I think that Labour is going to radically undermine its popularity, or the popularity it had in the last election, and those votes will go over to the Greens and to the Lib Dems. And hopefully they can, yeah, make a decent opposition to Reform, who I think are also going to do very well in the next election. And I think the prospects of the Conservative Party might well improve also. So we might see a Conservative Reform coalition in the next election, for instance. That possibility has by no means been ruled out. And I think I think it all depends upon whether or not hippie energy in the United Kingdom, i.e., the spirit of the hippie that lives in all of us, can overcome the forces of fascism, and I think that is going to be the big kind of division of the next election. It's going to be between, well, the left and right wing sectors of society, obviously, but with in different guises. I think Reform are going to get the most. Well, they got a lot of votes of the last election. They got 4 million votes, which I mean is a huge amount. If we had proportional representation, they'd have something like 64 seats in the House of Commons. And yeah, I don't really know what the outcome of the next election will be. But yes, it comes down to hippies versus fascists, unfortunately. We need to get all the hippies together. We need to be united on the left. We need to be sponsoring things like cannabis legalization such that farmers can make extra money. And, not, I mean, seriously as well. I really am serious about this. It would dramatically increase the potential revenues for farmers if we could have legal cannabis. It could, increase revenue for everybody if we legalize cannabis. There's always money to be made selling cannabis. So it would just make sense for giving people more money in times of austerity, allowing them to have access to an industry where they can make some quick cash just by selling some buds or something like this, or drugs in general, really. I support the legalization of all drugs. I don't think any drug should be illegal. I think it should be our own goddamn free choice in a free market, by the way, to cultivate drug crops and to sell them, and to get high if we choose to. If we're choosing cannabis as a safer alternative to alcohol, which is why a lot of people use it, it's why I use it. And, that's a perfectly legitimate use for the cannabis plant. It's a perfectly legitimate thing to do, I think. And I don't think it harms anyone. I think the harms associated with cannabis are far lower than those associated with alcohol. And, anything that we can do to stem this country's awful drinking problem, I think is a beneficial thing to be looking at. And I very much admire and believe in what David Nutt has been saying about cannabis legalization and of the relative harms of the illegal drugs that we have at the moment compared to, say, alcohol. And, I think the harms of alcohol are probably even greater than those of heroin. And that's not an exaggeration either. That's the truth, I think. Um, and yeah, it's a great blight on our society. I think that drugs have been illegal for so long, and we should be entitled to make our own free choice. We should have a free market, a market where drugs are not restricted, for instance. This would allow more people to make more money, in legitimate businesses. It would be great for the economy. It would be great for taxation. We could tax all of these drugs and drive them back into funding things like the NHS. And it could provide a sustainable, long-term boost to our economic prosperity if we were to legalize drugs, I think. And the Green Party are promising to do that, and Zach Polanski wants to legalize all drugs, and I'm wholeheartedly behind that policy. The Lib Dems also want to do it. So I think what the best we can hope for in the next election is a Lib Dem Green coalition, and a renewed power in genuine leftist progressive thinking, rather than the kind of the stale, boring conservatism of the Keir Starmer Labour Party and their insipidness, their lack of direction, their unfocused attitude, and their insipid and like fawning desire to appease the centre right, and to try and keep those floating voters on board with them. And I don't think that they're headed into the next election on a very secure base of popularity at all. And we could very much see a revolution in politics, I think, in the next election, and a move away from the two-party system that's dominated for the last goodness knows how many years, a century almost, I think it is, since the creation of the Labour Party. And yeah, we could see a radically different form of politics in the United Kingdom, I think. And I think one that could benefit everybody, and one that could include, hopefully, legalised drugs. So thank you for watching. I think I've made my point. Love you lots as always. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.